The Enigma of Power, Unveiling the Controversial Legacy of Robert McNamara. Robert S. McNamara, a prominent figure in American politics, left an indelible mark on the nation's history. As a controversial Secretary of Defense under Presidents Kennedy and Johnson, his tenure was marked by tumultuous times, and his decisions continue to spark debate. In this video, we delve into 13 shocking and thought-provoking facts about Robert McNamara, shedding light on his complex legacy. Fact number 1. Academic excellence and foundation. Robert McNamara was born on June 9, 1916, in San Francisco, California. He showcased remarkable academic talent from an early age. After graduating from Piedmont High School in 1933, he went on to attend the University of California, Berkeley. There, McNamara earned a Bachelor of Arts in Economics with honors in 1937 and also became a member of Phi Beta Kappa. He then pursued his higher education at Harvard Business School, receiving a Master of Business Administration in 1939. His outstanding performance at Harvard laid a robust intellectual foundation that would significantly shape his professional trajectory. Number 2. Strategic role in World War II. During World War II, McNamara joined the United States Army Air Forces, serving from 1943 until 1946. He was a member of the Office of Statistical Control, where he played a pivotal role in analyzing the efficiency and impact of bombing operations. McNamara was stationed in the China-Burma-India Theater of Operations and later in the Pacific Islands. His work involved statistical analysis of factors such as bomb tonnage and enemy troop movements, critically shaping the U.S. bombing strategy against Japan. This experience not only honed his analytical skills but also deeply influenced his later perspectives on military strategy and the use of statistical analysis in decision-making. Number 3. Meteoric rise at Ford Motor Company. In 1946, McNamara joined the Ford Motor Company as one of the Whiz Kids, a group of 10 Army Air Forces veterans with skills in statistical analysis. He quickly distinguished himself with his sharp analytical abilities and leadership qualities. McNamara ascended through various positions, including Manager of Planning and Financial Analysis and Vice President of the company. In November 1960, he achieved a groundbreaking milestone by becoming the first president of Ford Motor Company who was not a member of the Ford family. This rapid rise was a testament to his extraordinary managerial and organizational skills, as well as his innovative approach to corporate management, setting him apart as a visionary in the automotive industry. Number 4. Tenure as Secretary of Defense under Kennedy. In January 1961, Robert McNamara was appointed as the Secretary of Defense by President John F. Kennedy, a position he held until 1968. His tenure is particularly noted for its critical role during the Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962, a 13-day confrontation with the Soviet Union over missile deployment in Cuba, considered the closest the Cold War came to escalating into a full-scale nuclear war. McNamara's analytical and data-driven approach significantly influenced defense policies and strategies. He was instrumental in advising President Kennedy during this tense period, advocating for a naval blockade of Cuba and negotiation, which ultimately led to the de-escalation of the crisis. Number 5. Pivotal role in Vietnam War strategy. As Secretary of Defense, McNamara played a crucial role in shaping U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War. He initially supported and helped orchestrate the escalation of American military presence in Vietnam, a decision based on the domino theory of preventing the spread of communism in Southeast Asia. Under his guidance, U.S. troop levels in Vietnam increased dramatically from about 900 in 1960 to over 500,000 by the time he left office in 1968. However, as the war progressed with no clear path to victory, McNamara's stance on the war began to shift, and by the time of his departure, he had become increasingly disillusioned with the war's direction and deeply troubled by its growing human toll, both among American soldiers and the Vietnamese population. Number 6. Involvement in controversial bombing campaigns. One of the most controversial aspects of McNamara's tenure was his involvement in planning and authorizing extensive bombing campaigns in Vietnam. Operations such as Rolling Thunder and other sustained bombing efforts were designed to disrupt the North Vietnamese war effort but also led to significant civilian casualties and widespread destruction. McNamara oversaw the use of incendiary weapons like napalm and toxic herbicides like Agent Orange, which have had long-term, devastating impacts on both the environment and the health of civilians and veterans. These decisions have drawn widespread criticism and are viewed as some of the most contentious aspects of his legacy, contributing to the tragic human cost of the Vietnam War. Number 7. Leadership at the World Bank. Robert McNamara assumed the presidency of the World Bank in April 1968, following his tenure as the U.S. Secretary of Defense. He served in this capacity until June 1981. During his 13-year tenure, McNamara significantly shifted the focus of the World Bank towards poverty reduction and the development of third world countries. He championed policies aimed at addressing issues such as malnutrition, illiteracy, and disease, emphasizing the need for what he called basic human needs. McNamara oversaw a substantial increase in the bank's financial resources and lending capacity. Under his leadership, the bank's annual loan disbursements grew nearly tenfold, from $1 billion to almost $12 billion. Number 8. Project 100,000 and lowered military recruitment standards. Launched in 1966 by Robert McNamara, Project 100,000 aimed to recruit individuals who previously did not meet the military standard enlistment criteria, including men with lower IQs and educational deficiencies. Ostensibly, the project was intended to provide opportunities and training to disadvantaged youths. However, it faced criticism for its actual purpose, filling increasing draft quotas for the Vietnam War. This program led to the induction of over 354,000 men, many from underprivileged backgrounds. Critics pointed out that the initiative disproportionately affected disadvantaged and minority men, placing them in high-risk roles and resulting in higher casualty rates. The ethical implications of recruiting individuals with lower cognitive abilities into combat roles have made Project 100,000 a controversial aspect of McNamara's tenure. Number 9. Underestimating the Viet Cong. As Secretary of Defense during the Vietnam War, Robert McNamara significantly misjudged the capabilities and determination of the Viet Cong and North Vietnamese forces. He believed that a combination of American military superiority and technological advances would quickly lead to victory. This underestimation led to strategic decisions that failed to consider the guerrilla warfare tactics and the political motivations driving the Viet Cong's resistance. This miscalculation was a key factor in the protracted nature of the war and contributed to the ultimate failure of U.S. objectives in Vietnam. McNamara's failure to accurately assess the situation on the ground led to an escalation of the conflict without a clear strategy for victory, resulting in significant loss of life and resources. Number 10. The McNamara Line in Vietnam. In an effort to halt the infiltration of North Vietnamese troops and supplies into South Vietnam, Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara in the mid-1960s advocated for the creation of an electronic detection system. This system, later known as the McNamara Line, was intended to span the Vietnam demilitarized zone. It involved a combination of acoustic and seismic sensors, floodlights, and barbed wire, complemented by regular bombing raids. Despite the technological innovation and significant financial investment, costing hundreds of millions of dollars, the system failed to effectively stem the flow of North Vietnamese troops and resources. The McNamara Line is often cited as an example of the misapplication of technology in warfare and is remembered as a costly and ineffective military endeavor in the Vietnam War. Number 11. Controversial stance on nuclear weapons. During the Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962, McNamara played a critical advisory role to President John F. Kennedy. While he is widely credited with advocating for a naval blockade of Cuba as a non-military response, some historical accounts suggest that McNamara initially considered a more aggressive approach. Reports indicate that he initially recommended a preemptive strike on Cuba to eliminate the Soviet missile threat. However, McNamara later supported diplomatic efforts, which ultimately contributed to the peaceful resolution of the crisis and avoided what could have escalated into a full-scale nuclear war. Number 12. Body count policy in Vietnam. Under McNamara's leadership during the Vietnam War, the U.S. military adopted the controversial body count policy. This strategy used the number of enemy casualties as a primary metric for measuring military success. Criticized for its moral and ethical implications, this policy was seen as reducing warfare to a numbers game, potentially dehumanizing both enemy combatants and U.S. troops. Moreover, it incentivized the inflation of enemy kill numbers, leading to distorted views of the war's progress and effectiveness of U.S. military strategies. Number 13. Expansion of the Vietnam War. One of McNamara's significant decisions as Secretary of Defense was the expansion of the Vietnam War into neighboring countries, particularly Laos and Cambodia. This expansion was part of a broader strategy to disrupt the Ho Chi Minh Trail, a critical supply route for North Vietnamese forces. The decision led to extensive bombing campaigns in these countries, causing widespread destruction, civilian casualties, and long-term environmental damage. This expansion not only failed to decisively impact the war's outcome but also contributed to political instability and humanitarian crises in Laos and Cambodia. McNamara's role in this escalation has been a point of criticism, highlighting the complexities and far-reaching consequences of U.S. military involvement in Southeast Asia.